I'd like to welcome today Scott Kilmartin, founder and ringmaster at urban design and streetwear firm Hall. Welcome,
Hey
Scott.
Fiona, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good.
Last year I received a DM on Twitter from a follower who asked me to do an interview with you about the e-commerce platform at Hall and what your experience was getting it up. And his was that he's about to do this and likes the look of what you're doing with e-commerce and was hoping that you'd let him in on the secret. So are you okay to do that today?
Yeah, totally. I think we've gone through the whole gamut of website dramas and experiences. So yeah, no dramas at all.
When exactly did you decide that you would be selling online?
Initially, we as a business wholesale to other stores, and then and we were selling a little bit. We were in market, so we were selling a little bit direct. And we started getting inquiries about e-commerce, and we put up a website. But it was, it was a 3-pager. It was kind of a general. It wasn't even really a catalogue of our products. It was just some general stuff with a few images. Had that for a couple of years, and in 2001. I'm thinking we need to do this, and started getting quotes on websites, and they were, $30,000 and insane amounts of money. And I didn't know enough about what I was asking for to know, was that ballpark? I mean, should I be paying? Does a website cost what a car costs? Yeah. And so I was fairly lost. And then for the next probably 18 months, I guess I became kind of a mediavore on all things website. So I was. For a while there, I thought that the way to do this would be for me to go and learn how to do some coding, and I was kind of, on some bizarre track there.
Did you want to do that?
Well, I read it. I had enough people trying to talk me out of that, which was great because I'm not suited to that. Don't have that skill set, so it was a bit odd. And then figured, and at that point in time, there were a lot of closed platforms, and I was like, there was talk of open source, and some of the companies that I was looking at in the US that were little kind of boutique firms like mine that were that had the kind of e-commerce site that I wanted. There was a lot of talk about open source stuff, but I didn't know enough about what I was asking for, didn't know the pros and cons, to even know what to ask for, what to brief a developer in. And I'd go and see one developer, and they'd be selling what they had to sell. The other one would, one say buy a petrol car, one buy a diesel car, and I always use that car analogy, and I didn't know enough about the difference between what we wanted now and what we'd need in 3 years. And so we got a website, got our first e-commerce platform built for about $5,000. The developer was 5 months late on it. He kind of changed horses midway through, so we were going to get an open source platform that was relatively customized. By the end of it, it got built on a .NET platform, which at the time didn't really mean a whole lot to me, but it did mean a lot when he disappeared off the face of the earth. He literally shut down his business and went and got a job somewhere else. So what I thought I had, and when I went asking other developers to do, what we now call plugins and little add-ons, it didn't work. So, and we had that cliched conversation of the next developer going, well, none of that's going to work. You have to scrap it and start again. And so I did this twice. Anyway, down the track, we've got a product line. If you don't know much about the stuff we make, we've got a website where we put anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 individual products online. The billboard products we make, because of what's printed on the billboard, none are ever the same. So we literally needed that kind of unlimited shopping cart space. So I didn't know how to go about. Again, after I'd been burnt a couple of times, I still didn't know, what was the best way to build this going forward, so we'd actually be able to make it like a Lego, so we'd be able to add bits to it and it would be future-proofed. And kind of knew enough about what I wanted at this point to brief. We got a developer in. We probably sold a little bit of smoke and mirrors in terms of, again, it blew out in cost, little add-ons along the way. It got delayed in time. At that point in time, open source was really coming to fruition for what I wanted. And I was like, do we steer away from this now, from what I've already 3/4 of the way building, but doesn't seem like it's ever going to be finished? What do we do? So I ended up kind of staying on the horse we're on. We had just missed the Christmas of the Christmas of 2005 or 2006. And of course the website went up Christmas Eve, and we literally had, too late for people to order and whatever. And I got all these enormous amount of emails after Christmas from people going, hey, it's a shame your site looks great, it seems pretty functional, it's a shame it wasn't up 4 weeks ago. So Anyway, fast forward about a year and a half after really doing as much as we could with that site and with that developer. That developer, again, their business, they decided they were going to make cheap, inexpensive entry-level websites for plumbing firms that more had a billing structure. So they changed direction. The couple of the key staff that they had also left, and so again, I was faced with this scenario. I'm like, what are we? We keep going. I feel like we just keep going around in this circle.
Yeah.
Where you could kind of see the writing on the wall, but I didn't feel like I could do much about it.
Yeah.
Found this product. At this point, I started looking more and more. A friend of mine's gone, go back to have a look at some of the out-of-the-box products, which have been around for a decade, 15 years. But lately they've become a lot better and a lot more usable. And so we started using a platform that was then called Goodberry. It was Australian based. It was set up by some guys that, from a business called Business Catalyst. And it's now been rebranded as Business Catalyst as a product. But it's software as a service. So it's the entry level one's about $30 a month. The one we've got's about $75 a month. It's fantastic in that lots of those out of the box products, possibly not so much now, but back then they made lots of claims that they kind of did and they didn't really do. So it'd say it had a currency converter, but the currency converter really would just link you to another site and you'd have to update it yourself. And so it said all the right things, but lots of things didn't quite work. If you had someone that was, they had a little bit of translation and stuff on them, but again, that was a bit clunky. Where this Goodberry program, I'd found lots of other businesses that were using it. It was Australian based, which meant it can handle GST. Most of the ones, the other box products that were any good were US based, so it was they were used to the different states taxes and the federal tax in the US, or the VAT, for example, in the UK, but they really couldn't, they weren't suited for GST. They wouldn't link with, for us, we make a physical product, we put it in the box, we sell it to someone. So, they would all link with FedEx and DHL, but they didn't want to know about Australia Post. So this one did, and because it was a Australian company that was really focusing on a US market, it worked in both ways. It was very much GST focused. It got regular GST updates, so it worked out really well that way. But also it would work with FedEx and DHL in the States. So it was fantastic for us. And the only downside was the template style front end were fairly boring. It was you were basically meant to use it as a platform. And again, I'll use the car analogy. Basically, they were giving you a really good chassis of a car, but you had to bolt on your own panels. So I didn't have an in-house graphic designer at that point. 6 months later, got one, and that's been a godsend. Now, Anna, that works in the business, is a graphic designer, and she has been fantastic in terms of she knows enough about HTML, can't write code, but can figure out how something's been done and can cut and paste code in, so that we've got a fantastically functional website. It looks magnificent.
It looks fantastic. Look and feels just sensational.
And
clean lines and simple and beautiful.
It works really well with us, and we've done lots of businesses. We've got colourful products, so from a background standpoint, we either want to have a pure white background or a black one. I quite like black, but it's really hard to make work in the web space. A black website's got to be 5 times better, I think, than a white one, and it can be hard to read, and unless you do it really, really well, it just looks a bit clunky. And for us, because we've got these different style, each product is different. We've got some little challenges in our business. I mean, with the web space, they always say, never make the purchase more than 2 clicks from anywhere. Well, some of those times we've gone and broken those rules, and we're 3 and sometimes 4 clicks you've got to drill down to get to a product. And part of that is if we show too many images on the first couple of pages of our site, or the home page or the store page, people literally see a product that's a red, white, and blue MacBook sleeve and go, I want to buy that one. And that one's been sold 2 years ago. So we kind of click them through to these sketches that show the product, or we show you groups of products, but not any one by itself. And then you've got to kind of click into a page that show you lots of variations, and then you can click through any one of those variations
and choose the one
to the page you can buy on. And that breaks lots of rules. It's a 2 clicks from. But for us, with our product range, we've got to tell the story a little bit on the top end, and then let them gradually go further and further layers in. And this platform, this Goodberry, or now it's called Business Catalyst platform, it's been flexible enough to let us do that. And also, it's pretty SEO friendly.